Why? Thanks. Anytime.
Welcome to Predator Minute, the podcast that breaks down the 1987 action sci-fi horror suspense classic Predator 1 minute at a time. I'm John Zabriskie.
And I'm Jeff Glover.
And with us, we have our returning guests from last week, Scott Carelli and Nick Jimenez.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for having us.
Hey, thanks for coming back, guys. Really appreciate it.
Happy to be here.
Of course.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for coming back.
Sorry for the technical difficulties, but we are powering through. We are on minute 33 of Predator. Minute 33 opens with Dillon approaching Mac and ends with Billy laughing it up in Predator vision. The best way to laugh things up.
Yes. This is an interesting minute. It's a minute that is in essentially two parts, right? We get kind of very two distinct halves of this minute.
Two very different kind of interactions, conversations, what have you.
Yeah. So leaving the previous minute, stuff is still on fire.
Yeah. Still on fire. As Dillon is approaching Mac, and we have a nice push in to Dillon's face, as Mac told him in a previous minute, over here. And then, Mac tells Dillon, turn around, and looks up in the trees to, I guess, fake out where Dillon should be looking. And Dillon asks why, but then turns around, and as he turns around, Mac raises a humongous knife behind his back, just like we had talked about in the previous minute about threatening to bleed out Dillon and leave him for dead if he gave away their position many minutes ago. But instead of actually stabbing Dillon in the back, he stabs a scorpion from Dillon's back, raises it up. The scorpion gives some great acting for the camera right here, and Dillon gives him an angry thanks before leaving, and Mac gives his, in my opinion, iconic line of "anytime" as he squishes the scorpion.
Thanks. Anytime.
I want to ask our guests, having revisited this movie recently for being on this podcast, thank you. Were you did the sequence surprise you as it was intended?
Hey, did it surprise me
that Bill Duke didn't murder Carl Weathers?
Right.
his teammate.
Did you think he was actually going to stab him in the back that casually?
I tell you what, it would have been a heck of a turn. It also probably wouldn't have been uncharacteristic because, as I kind of hinted at, I think Bill Duke in this movie is the Gina Rodriguez to Annihilation and Predator. I think he's the one that goes AWOL. He doesn't go AWOL, but he's the one that would have gone AWOL if the Predator hadn't shown up. The movie would have been about him had the Predator not shown up.
Oh, I mean, he totally goes AWOL in my opinion, where he's like singing the Long Tall Sally song later on after the Predator. He's so sweet.
He kills that pig.
Got everything you need.
In the forest.
Yeah, he has a good time in this one.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he has some fun. That's for sure. Yeah, he's totally. You're right. The music, Alan Silvestri right here, is totally giving us a little fake out sting too. Just those high violins, high strings. Oh my god! You're right, Nick. Like, what a twist that dude stabbed right here.
You know what?
In the back, right at the end of the first act.
What?
This will mix things up.
I'm just curious about what is the screenwriters, what are they trying to tell us in this moment? What is
this guy notices what no one else does?
That's a really good question. I've thought about that. He
notices the little details.
Me too. That's a good
Everyone
question.
else is worried about this guy almost got hit by a scorpion, but Mac knows. Mac's always watching. You got to wake up pretty early. You got to be quite the Predator. Get the drop on old Mac.
Hey. I also thought that, when he lifts up his knife and we get the shot of that little scorpion, and then, then the next scene, he puts the scorpion down, steps on it with his boot, and his boot lifts up, and all we see is the scorpion sitting there on that little box or whatnot. Does the scorpion kind of look a little bit like the Predator to you in that quick scene?
That would have been a cool,
Am I reaching? I'm
transition.
I am.
If we already knew what the Predator looked like, if we had transitioned from gnarled scorpion in the Predator face.
I mean, I guess it could also be what is a scorpion? A scorpion is a predator. in the animal species, and then he is killing a predator.
Much like a predator will do to him.
Much like a predator will do to him, and Arnold Schwarzenegger will do to the predator.
There's always a bigger fish.
There's always a bigger predator. There's always a bigger predator.
Yeah.
Which, as you know, is a great quote from 2018's The Predator.
Yeah.
Oh, good God! Stop bringing up the movie.
It is worth saying out loud, or at least mentioning out loud. Is that a real scorpion that we're seeing brutalized and murdered?
Oh, I'm gonna let you take this, John.
Oh, this is most definitely a real scorpion. And John McTiernan, director commentary, he says that creature was indeed hurt for this production. It was the only one, but yeah, we killed that, and all the behind the scenes information backs that up. Yeah, totally squishing it. Yeah, corroborates that.
In all seriousness, I just take this whole sequence as Mac just fucking with Dillon some more. You know, like we already mentioned last minute that several minutes ago, Mac and Dillon did have a conversation where Mac kind of threatened him that if he was screwed up again, if he gave away their position again, he was going to bleed him, threatening him to keep in line with the group. And I think this is just Mac seeing, oh, he's got this bug on him. I have a quick opportunity here to kind of mess with him a little bit. And yeah, you know, and at the same time kill something, which apparently he takes great joy in. So, you know, it's a way for him to kind of sort of needle Dillon, kind of poke at Dillon just a little bit more.
Literally, yes.
Literally, yeah. Just the opportunity presented itself. I don't know.
I like what, Nick, you were saying before about him noticing these little things, because as we see in about 10 minutes of movie time, when Blaine is taken out, Mac is the only one who sees the predator, and he only sees the glowing eyes, but he becomes the one witness to the hunter that is hunting them for a great while. Not until, Dillon and Mac are trying to team up and take on the predator, does someone, I think, actually see the predator in his invisibility.
Now, John, you did a little research here. Do you have a good idea of what type of scorpion this could possibly be, if it was, in fact, from Central America?
Sure. I mean, this is what Predator Minute is all about. The scorpion is likely I looked this up, as a Centroidus limbatus, Latin name for black-edged. Of course. Right, of course. Which refers to the colored markings of this species, or some kind of variation of the bark scorpion.
Get over here!
Of note also is that its sting is non-fatal, so Mac is really just kind of saving Dillon from...
Well, it sucks that it's non-lethal scorpion.
A bee sting, essentially. Just a... Yeah, exactly. I watched some videos of scorpions, and people keep them as pets, and I remember there's one video of a scorpion eating, and it was just, that was so disturbing. It was time to stop the scorpion research watching that. So no more of that. No, yeah. Do you all see them in California? Is that a
I don't look.
native scorpion?
Yeah, I probably see more than I think I do, but I'm not looking.
Nick just looks straight up and stomps around everywhere he goes.
Same with Texas. I'm from Texas. We're from Texas, so you probably there's some critters out there.
Well, this scorpion becomes iconic in a very near future minute, just looking ahead a little bit, in that the predator picks it up as it's fading. But scorpions are cold-blooded. There'd be nothing for the predator to see unless somehow smashing it warmed it up a lot, to the point of like 98 degrees, like the same body heat as people. So there's a little technicality.
Okay, so that's the reason why it's here in the screenplay, then, is to establish it so that later the predator can like pick it up.
Yeah, it's a good point, I guess. So we become so laser focused. We're like, why is it in this 1 minute? Well, like think like a minute ahead. Like, no, exactly, Scott. Good catch, because that's why it's in there. Not in the original script, but it's here in the shooting script.
So, does anyone else have anything to add about the scorpion murdering scene before we get to our great setup and joke here by Hawkins?
I will say that anytime becomes my line for Mac, and it's a fun one to say like under your breath to someone, for saying, when they say thank you, but also just like as they're walking away, just go anytime. And occasionally people have heard me and they say like, what? Like, oh, I was just saying you're welcome. Like, it's just those little things. It's just like that knee jerk thing. Like, sorry, it's this podcast I do. And no, we're not going to talk about that. We're just, yeah. But anytime is also the colloquial name of the predator in this movie. So online, people, in shorthand, they won't even say jungle hunter, which is like the official title of this predator in this movie, but they'll say the name anytime because that's one of the lines he mimics from this minute.
Is he credited as Jungle Hunter in the movie? Where does that come from?
He is, and
like the shape in Halloween,
just because they had to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and
the shape. Yeah.
In Predator 2, he's called City Hunter. So there you go.
There you go.
Yeah, he's coming up with the names based on where he's doing the hunting.
It's like a special action figure.
Yeah,
exactly. Like City Hunter Predator, Jungle Hunter Predator,
Water Hunter Predator,
Underwater Hunter Predator,
Construction Worker Predator.
Construction Arctic Freeze
Nurse Predator.
Tropical Predator.
Teacher Predator.
Yeah.
Wait, no. We're gonna stay away from like actual things where someone could be a predator. Oh,
stop it, John! I was having a nice little moment there.
hey, I'm here to straighten you out there. But yeah, like the theme predator. Oh, you have tons of predator toys out there. There's all these NECA figures and.
Oh yeah, I was actually, as a kid, I was familiar with Predator and Alien through toys and comics as like figures in pop culture. Because I didn't watch the movies until I was like, I think a teenager, and but I knew Predator and Alien because, in the 90s, I would go to like a KB Toys or what have you and see these like hyper realistic, gory Todd McFarlane action figures. And I was like, whoa, these guys are hardcore.
Isn't that crazy how in the 80s they were like, oh, here's an ultra violent R-rated movie called RoboCop. Let's take that and make an action figure out of it and sell it to 6-year-olds.
RoboCop's definitely another one where I knew him from Toy Story.
Well, and that's but that's the thing is like their logic there was like, oh, kids can't see this movie, but they want to, and they think the thing is cool on the poster, so let's give them a toy to play with.
Pretty genius, yeah.
It was genius because I was one of those kids. Like I've talked to John about this before, but RoboCop and actually Predator were the two first R-rated movies I ever saw, probably around when I was 7 or 8.
Yep, RoboCop was my first R-rated movie. Yeah.
Me too. That was actually my first, and I saw it at a friend's house on Laserdisc at his second. I believe it was his second grade birthday party.
Jeez.
There's something childlike about them.
About RoboCop,
RoboCop and Predator. Yeah. It's a little bit like what a little boy or a child thinks grown-ups are like. Like when you're a kid, you think all grown-ups are like Bill Duke or Carl Weathers or Arnold Schwarzenegger, or Jesse the Body Ventura. Those are like what your dad's friends look like.
Yeah, that's true.
And like RoboCop, that's how you think being a cop works.
Yeah.
I just imagined a bunch of little kids walking around being like, I'm a goddamn sexual Tyrannosaurus.
Oh, yeah.
Goddamn sexual Tyrannosaurus.
What the hell does that mean?
Saying it, having no idea what it means. Classic kids stuff.
Oh, yeah. That's so kids. Yeah. Oh, man.
All right. So speaking of inappropriate things, the second half of this minute, we get a nice joke about a vagina. About an extra large vagina, in fact.
Billy! The other day, I was going down to my girlfriend. I said to her, "Jeez, you got a big pussy. Jeez, you got a big pussy." She said, "Why did you say that twice?" And I said, "I didn't." See, it's because of the echo.
My question to you guys for our guests is, what do you think about this joke? Do you think it's a good joke? Do you think it's a funny joke?
I think it's a terrible joke for. I mean, content wise aside, it's a bad joke. Like it's not a good joke. No, it's like a cheesy like Bazooka Joe joke. Like it's. Except it's X-rated, but that's what it is. Like it's a Bazooka Joe joke. Like it's not good.
It's perfect, but it's perfect in its situation, which is like one kind of soldier delivering it to another soldier to kind of like, and it's kind of like, I don't know, like I admire its form in a way. I don't know, because it surprises me.
Well, he has to explain the punchline.
He does.
Right?
It's almost
like,
that almost is why it's funny. Is like because he has to take that extra
yeah.
step to explain it, and then it's kind of like, you know how like when you're like awake for a long time or whatever, and the person next to you, you're just like kind of punch drunk, and just like the stupidest stuff will make you laugh.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like that
feeling
that I'm getting.
Yeah, they've just gone through this very stressful situation, and we've seen earlier in the movie Hawkins tries to make Billy laugh with no success.
Yeah, this really mirrors that. I mean, the way he grabs Billy's attention in the chopper is he has to say his name twice.
Billy!
And then he gives him the joke. So it's pretty much the exact same setup from before. He just very, very, in a minor way, changed the joke. Not that different.
I do like Billy's sort of slow roll reaction to it. I think this whole interaction is pretty funny. Whether or not you like the joke, I think the delivery and how he kind of like Shane Black sort of backs away slowly until he sees Billy smile, and he knows he's done his job. And then Billy gives that great big sort of belly laugh. And that's the only time we really see him smile or laugh about anything in this movie.
It's one of the more memorable parts of the
great.
Movie for me. It's something I always look forward to. Just his almost like Rankin Bass level like laugh.
Yeah. It's like it's as much as a character arc as anybody who's not Dutch or Dillon is going to have in this movie, where in the beginning it couldn't make Billy laugh, and now he can. So like Hawkins can die happy now. I
gotta laugh out of Billy.
I finally gotta laugh out of Billy.
And then
why does Billy laugh like Santa Claus?
and then it through the Predator filter is even better.
Oh, it's terrifying through the Predator filter. It's horror movie-esque. Just oh wow, you just took something I was mildly happy about and you twisted it. And again, you see the zoom in the Predator vision along with the vertical Audacity scroll. Like, oh, you must be recording this. Hopefully it's not just muffled or breaking the limit or anything like that. It's just, is he going to use this for later? Like, what an odd thing to choose to record if he's recording.
It does turn into a very high pitched, like, you're right, like horror, like a doll laughing at you in a scary horror movie.
Here's something I never thought about before. The Predator very memorably laughs at the end of this movie. Can Predators laugh, or is it mimicking Billy?
Is it
I don't think I've ever
nature
thought about
or
that
nurture?
Is it learned behavior?
Right.
Or able to do it.
Well, we learned in Predator 2 that they can scream like little girls. When the Predator's on the pipe on the side of the building. Oh, man, I love that part.
You love that part so much.
I do. I love that part so much. I love Predator 2 so much.
It's underrated for sure.
What a great movie. It's super underrated. It's not a good movie, but it's a great movie.
Depending on the day, it's my second or third favorite Predator movie.
Yeah, there you go. It's definitely my favorite Predator sequel, hands down.
Yeah, same.
All right. Well, so we get our pretty great joke here. Did you guys have anything else to add about this joke before we wrap up this minute? Because that kind of brings us to the end of this minute.
Laugh.
I think my last note was seeing this as a very human moment between two people where you're trying to make someone laugh so hard. Like, who knows how long this has been going on? Maybe years, where Hawkins hasn't been able to crack Billy, but finally he makes it happen. I was wondering if you guys have any quick stories about a time you made someone laugh or react and you've been working on them for like forever.
Mm-hmm. I can't think of a situation where I've ever been like trying and failing to make someone laugh. Not to say that like, oh, I make everybody laugh, but like but in terms of like, I don't think I've ever consciously been like, I'm going to make this person laugh. I can't ever imagine a situation where that's happened for me anyway, personally.
Okay.
I don't know about you, Nick.
Yeah, I guess, like, I'm never like trying to make my dad, like, my dad's not a big like laugher. Like, he's a really happy person,
Mm-hmm.
but he's not like a big like jokester laugher. Like, I don't know what I'm saying, but like, so I know, like, it's almost like Master Splinter. Like, it's like when he does like make a joke or like do it, it's like, hey, like, cool. And it's kind of, yeah, and it's kind of conversely, like when I make my dad laugh, I feel like I'm like, oh, that God is. I feel like I'm still learning his sense of humor, even though I've known him like my whole life. But that's probably a lot of people's dads.
I made a funny.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So John and I are both teachers, and John, you can probably identify with this when you finally get that kid to laugh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's
Maybe
true.
Been
That's
working
very
on
true.
them for 6 months, and all you want from this kid, this super quiet kid or introverted kid, is to get a reaction out of him or to make him chuckle or something. And you finally hit that moment. You say the right thing or make the right joke. That's always a good feeling. So I identify with Hawkins here a little bit in that regard.
Nick, did something pop up, or you're like, oh yeah, like,
oh no, but yeah, you're right. That is such an accomplishment when you're able to like make with a kid, or like or conversely, when a kid can make you laugh. That I remember that feeling being really cool as a kid. If I were to make like an adult or like a younger adult or like a teenager laugh, like, oh, cool.
If you were a kid and you made the adults laugh, that's you've hit the big time.
That totally happened to me. I was on this zoo field trip with my middle school today, and this bottle falls out of this kid's pocket. It's full of like, red Kool-Aid or something like that. I say, what's in that bottle? He goes, my blood. I just could not stop laughing because it's a kid I know from class who just has this total dry sense of humor that normally doesn't land with me, but like this one for whatever reason, because it's rolling along the ground at a zoo. It's like, why not?
And it's such a morbid thing for like a 6th grader to say.
It's my blood.
It's my blood.
It felt good to laugh.
At
the zoo.
That's what Billy learned.
Yeah.
That's right. All right. Oh, John, before we wrap up this minute and move on to recommends, should we cue the Contra music? We have one kill, correct?
We do have a confirmed kill, confirmed by the director himself. They indeed killed the Scorpion. So we're adding this up to the bad guy kill count. So far we have, including this minute, 92 people, I guess, 92 kills so far in the movie, either on screen or implied off screen. So far we have 8 good guys on that kill count. We have 84, ding, 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 bad guys now if you add the Scorpion under Max Boot. And yes, I'm counting the Scorpion as a bad guy because it was on Dillon's back.
Yeah, well, and it was a real kill. It was the only actual organism that was killed in this film, so I think we have to include it.
Right. Yeah, because clearly the gorillas are fine. In the last minute, we saw some guy just kind of moving around still. Like,
I hope when you reach the conclusion of this show, I hope that you guys are planning on playing in memoriam music and reading off every single one of these kills.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, my God.
They have the perfect memoriam music for this movie. Alan Silvestri does about a 1.5 minute track at the very end when you see the chopper picking up Arnold at the very end amongst all the smoke and dust. It's just this really
perfect.
Yeah, it's super tender.
Alan Silvestri's score also underrated in this movie. I think it's one of my favorites.
It's Back to the Future score, right?
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
There's connection with you guys. Love that Back to the Future score, and you hear a lot of bits and pieces. I think he came to this movie off a recommend.
Yeah, that's sort of iconic jangle.
Yeah.
So you guys have anything else to add to this minute 33?
I don't think so.
No, just shout out Scorpions.
Okay. The Scorpions, the 80s hair metal band?
Yeah, them.
Shout out to Scorpions.
Things Have Changed was my jam back in the day, I have to say. Alrighty, so we're talking recommends one more time before letting our guests go. So if you guys have something in the chamber that you'd recommend to listeners, now's the time.
Yeah, we kind of we talked a lot about Marvel last week, so I think take a moment to celebrate the distinguished competition. I want to take a moment to recommend DC Universe's Doom Patrol. Not hearing a lot of people talk about it because it's on the DC Universe app, and not a lot of people have taken a look at that. I think it's a great service, especially if you're a DC fan. But even just taking away the fact that like all of Batman the Animated Series is on it, even taking away all of the comics and DC Animated Series, I think it's worth at least giving it a try to catch up on Doom Patrol, because I think it's a terrifically creative show. Has great performances by Brendan Fraser, Matt Bomer, Timothy Dalton, Diane Guerrero, and it kind of, I haven't talked about it out loud yet, but it kind of reminds me of when I was first starting to watch Doctor Who, where I would sit down and would start an episode and think, I have no idea what's about to happen.
Yeah.
But I can't wait to see these characters again and see what kind of like adventures they get into.
Yeah.
And it's just it's a lot more profane and gross than Doctor Who, but yeah, so if you've been thinking about giving it a try, I think it's worth it just to watch Doom Patrol.
Yeah, Doom Patrol is absolutely fantastic, so I'll definitely mirror that and say I give it a hearty recommend as well. It is excellent. And I mean, who doesn't want to see Brendan Fraser as a robot man? Wearing a punk rock T-shirt and a leather
That's
jacket. I mean, come on.
Where has Brendan Fraser been?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, definitely. So I will recommend something that I guess will give you guys a little bit of an exclusive, because I think I'm probably safe recommending this here because it's whatever, and I'm going to say good things, so it's also whatever. But I happen to see.
Don't worry, we have 20 listeners, and they will all.
Well, I happen to see a very early sneak preview of a film that's opening this fall called "Won't You Be My Neighbor?"
It's a documentary.
Oh, that's the documentary.
Yeah.
What's the Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood? That's right, Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
I was going to say, I've seen
Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood is the movie that I saw. It's a movie in which Tom Hanks plays Mr. Rogers, and it's not what you think it's going to be. It's not really a biopic. It's about a very particular situation that involves Mr. Rogers and a different character. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's very, very good. And Tom Hanks as Mr. Rogers is insane, and so good. He is definitely going to win Best Actor. Like, the only thing that could stop him from winning Best Actor are all the other actors in this movie, because everyone is so good in this. It's got Chris Cooper in it.
I think I have a guess as to what scene or what situation you're talking about.
Okay.
Off pod.
But yeah, Chris Cooper is in it.
Yeah.
And what is his name? Matt.
The Americans.
Yeah, the guy from The Americans, Matt Rice or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy from Veronica Mars, the dad from Veronica Mars. What is?
Oh yeah, like Enrico.
Caleone. Yeah, Caleonte or whatever. Yeah.
Galaxy Quest.
Anyway, yeah, and he's in Galaxy Quest. Yeah. So anyway. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Just Shoot Me. Yes, totally. That always used to be my go-to for him, and he's drifted away from Just Shoot Me in my mind, apparently. But yeah, it's a really, really great movie. Like, I mean, I saw a very early cut that obviously like had like some editing work and things to do, but I mean, it's not opening until the fall. And so they've got plenty of time to like make it just like a really, really tight film that I'm sure that it will become, and I think it's going to be like the Oscar bait movie this year that everyone's going to be talking about. So be on the lookout for that one. So it's an early recommend. You can't watch it yet, but you will, and then you'll remember this. Like, oh yeah, that guy on Predator Minute
cool.
told me to watch this Mr. Rogers movie.
Back in April.
That'd be a really great moment.
Oh man, that's so cool! You saw that. I've heard about this project, that movie, and I've been excited ever since I heard about it. So,
wow,
man, that's a great recommend. Cool.
Well, thanks guys for the recommends.
Yeah, for sure.
Jeff, do you have something to recommend? Maybe further out, maybe something for the winter coming up?
My recommend, I'm going to steer back towards the horror, which I tend to do.
Yeah,
that's what I
love that horror.
Yeah. My recommend is a little more general, though. So as a horror fan, if any one of you out there is a horror fan and you have not subscribed to the streaming service called Shudder, you are failing in your horror fandom. It is a fantastic streaming service. It costs $5 a month. I highly recommend you subscribe to Shudder. But that's not my actual recommend. It sort of is, but specifically on Shudder, I'm going to recommend that Shudder has brought into their staff a guy named Joe Bob Briggs. Have any of you ever heard of Joe Bob? Joe Bob Briggs?
Are you kidding me? I grew up with Joe Bob Briggs.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so did I. Joe Bob Briggs is why I love horror movies. I used to stay up late, past my bedtime, sneak downstairs, turn on the HBO or movie channel, what he was on, and I would watch Joe Bob's Drive-In. And he introduced me to genre films, weird films, horror movies, stuff I would have never seen if it wasn't for Joe Bob. And Shudder has brought Joe Bob onto their channel, and so far he's done 2 specials with them. He did an all-night movie marathon, and then at Christmas time he did another movie marathon, and they were so popular that Shudder has commissioned him to do a weekly show where every Friday night he's going to do a double feature where he does his horror host stuff. And if you've never seen Joe Bob, it's hard to explain him, but he is an encyclopedia of movies, of horror movies, of genre films, and listening to him introduce a movie, and then throughout the movie they interrupt it and they come back to Joe Bob and he'll talk about what you just watched and add tidbits and information and trivia about the movie, and it's a really, really fun experience to watch a movie with Joe Bob. So I recommend Shudder and the brand new Joe Bob's show that's going to be on Shudder coming out very soon this year in 2019.
Joe Bob Briggs here, and tonight the movie that answers the question, what's eating the American farmer? Man-eating porcupine tumbleweeds with enormous teeth are about to escape from their outer space prison and head to Grover's Bend, Kansas to munch on the population. I'm talking, of course, about Critters, with the best intergalactic monsters since Zsa Zsa Gabor starred in Queen of Outer Space, and they wear a lot less makeup. I've been watching a lot of court TV lately.
Cool.
Nice. Are you guys big horror fans, Scott, Nick?
Definitely.
Yeah,
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. So 3 out of 4 of us. Awesome.
I'm a big horror fan, and I keep on trying to bring John over to the dark side, but he refuses.
Too sensitive, man. I just stuff scares me too much. I just end up running up the stairs and sleeping with the lights on. It's gonna bug my wife and everybody else. What was that? What was that noise?
I love it. I think I recommended a PG-13 horror to you, John, last time.
Yeah, I think you Happy Death Day. Yeah.
Oh, Happy Death Day's great.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah,
Good sequel, too.
Yeah, good sequel.
To you.
Oh, I haven't seen the sequel yet. I'm excited.
It's really fun. They go like full sci-fi with it.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Because why not? Nice. I mean, yeah, just go for it.
Yeah.
Let's see. My recommend is another podcast. It's called Movie Sign with the Mads, and I would say a lot of riffing on movies and a lot of movie commentaries, like this kind of podcast and your guys' kind of podcasts really owe a great debt to Mystery Science Theater 3000 from way back in the day, where the on-screen human and the robots would just totally tear into bad movies. 2 of those original writers for that show, Trace Beaulieu and Frank Conniff, they team up with Carolina, and they recently started podcasts called Movie Sign with the Mads, in which they review all manner of movies, classic movies, modern movies, and honestly, because 2 of those guys have such a rich history in writing riffs and tearing up movies, it's best listened to when you're listening to a bad movie. You hear them deconstruct a movie they did not like. They're just so funny when they do it, and I just really can't wait to hear Frank start to slowly, dryly lay out what the next comparison's going to be. I think one joke he said something like, "This movie is so by the numbers that you could earn a math degree watching it." It's just little bits all throughout, and breaking down, like I said, classic movies, modern movies. Movie Sign with the Mads. Check it out. Highly recommend it. And I think a good jumping in episode would be Batman v Superman.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Big Mystery Science Theater fan.
Nice. Good recommend. And John, what was the name of that podcast?
Movie
again?
Sign with the Mads. And if you listen to just the intro, like you're never going to forget the name of that podcast because that's such a catchy intro written by the brother of Frank Conniff.
TV's Frank.
That's a long way to say Frank Conniff's brother. Yeah, TV's Frank. There you go.
We got Movie Sign.
So that's it.
So Scott and Nick, we can't thank you enough for joining us for the last couple minutes. We really, really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having us on.
And this has been really fun for us and kind of pretty exciting for us.
Thanks for having us.
We really
and if we want to find... Yeah, thanks for being on. If we want to find more of you guys, where can we hear you?
Well, you can follow Nick and I on Twitter. Nick is Nick M. Jimenez, and I am just at Scott Carelli. And you can listen to our other podcasts. Right now, we're in the midst of covering Hot Fuzz 1 minute at a time at Cornetto Minute. We're having a good time doing that. But we already covered all of Shaun of the Dead, so you can check that out. And if you like Back to the Future, then you can check out Nick and I talk about that for 345 episodes. We talked about every minute of Back to the Future, Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, and the ride. And it was a lot of fun. It's over now, but it was a lot of fun. I think it's fairly evergreen. I mean,
we still hear from people that are like listening to it from the beginning, and are like, "Oh, this moment."
Like I don't have any. I don't know any of that. I feel like if I listened to our show now, I would be listening to it. It would be like I was a listener listening to it for the first time at this point because I have like I limited memory of it, honestly.
Yeah. I feel like the conventional wisdom is that the first Back to the Future is the best of the trilogy. Do you guys still feel that way after covering it this in depth?
It's the only one that's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
It is so good. Yeah.
Agreed.
And that's like a hard thing to be two more times.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, perfection.
Yeah.
It's hard.
I have a lot of affection for part 2 because when I was a kid, I was sort of fascinated by part 2 because they went to the future. But as an adult, when you go back and watch part 1, it is such a perfect movie.
Although I think the biggest conclusion we came to is that part 3 is like the underrated one.
Yeah,
like
the 3 really holds up a lot more
yeah,
than 2.
3 is really, really great. Like 3 was such a breath of fresh air after covering 2, which was like after you get back from the future, you're just in just a trudge of depression
Yeah, you're in
for a while.
And had we known what was coming in real life.
Yeah.
The Cubs win the World Series? What?
Yeah. Oh, the surprise.
Yes, that's the one. Yes.
Yeah.
Got a
Yeah, you
hellscape
do spend
business.
a lot of time in Biff's neighborhood with like newspapers blowing around the
guys,
street.
I was listening to Back to the Future 2 minute, and yeah, you guys are talking nothing but Trump Town and Trump this, and gosh, when did you release that? Like 2013 or 2014 or something like that?
Like 15, 16.
It would have been 2016, because we started the show in 2015.
Okay.
When Force Awakens is coming out.
Wow.
Yeah, so that would have been 2016.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God! All your worst nightmares.
Yeah, it
are
was
realized.
just-
But we had some fun conversations. I remember like people still talk to us about when we made Principal Strickland into like Mad Max or like the Punisher.
Yeah.
Right. Some fun conversation comes out of it because it's fun world building. It's kind of a bummer to like watch over the space of like weeks.
Yeah, we were just stuck there for a month and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and 3 is like totally
Wow.
dredging up like the big Western movement of the 80s. Just, hey, like all these cool, like Young Guns and
Silverado.
Yeah, Silverado. Like the Westerns are back. Like, why not throw Marty and
Back.
back.
Sorry.
Knee-jerk reaction. Why not throw those characters into a Western? How wacky would that be?
For sure.
Yeah. All right.
So yeah, you can check out all that at Dueling Genre if you're just at you're in your podcast app. You can just search for it, or you can search for Dueling Genre, and they'll all come up. Everything we put out will come up.
Jeff, what about you, kind sir? Where can we find you?
Well, of course, you can find me on Twitter at Carl_Hungus. I'll be tweeting about Joe Bob and how awesome he is. So check me out there on the Twitter.
Check me out.
John, where can we find you and Predator content on the interwebs?
We are on Twitter and Facebook, Predator Minute. On Facebook, we have a dedicated listeners group, Predator Minute Listeners Palapa. So stop by and give some thoughts on Predator Minute or Predator or Weekly Recommends. You can also email the show, predatorminute@gmail.com. I believe we're all ready to wrap up. So for Predator Minute, I'm John Zabriskie.
And I'm Jeff Glover.
I'm Scott Carelli.
I'm Nick Jimenez.
And until next time,
stick around.
Bison tries.
The bison tries.